It is 10:06, 7:06 in Las Vegas, and it's time for Princeton Research's Money Info with Mike King, hopefully back from the Philippines in Las Vegas, and Charles Moskowitz in Boston. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, oh, there is Michael. So how are the jungles?
Refreshing. Lots of rain and fresh air. Just a beautiful country.
Wow. Okay, and where did you go?
And I was in Mindanao quite a bit. Throughout Butuan City, the northern part, Agusan del Norte. And then I was also in Agusan of coconut sugar, coconut oils. A lot of products come right from the sap of the coconut tree. Very interesting. Not just the fruit, but right out of the tree itself.
Wow. That sounds great. That's
very
awesome.
Healthy products.
All right, Charles, I got to ask you a question. How many jobs have you had in 30 years?
3.
Okay. Mike, what about you?
Geez, in 30 years, I think I've had 2 jobs.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm just trying to think. Let's see.
Well, I mean, investor relations director.
Right.
But for a multitude of companies, but I still consider that one job.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
yeah, sure.
yeah. Well,
And how about your years of being registered as a broker?
Yeah, well,
That's one job, too.
That's one job, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and we both had the
So
same job.
IR, one job, being a broker, one job, and, what I'm doing now with the points about General Motors. And that is, who ran General Motors while all of this was going on? Who was the biggest shareholder in General Motors?
Well, I would think the unions.
Hardly.
No?
The U.S. government.
Even early on in these recalls?
Yep.
Really? I didn't
And
know that.
if you want to take that a step further, my question is, in this unbelievably litigious Department of Justice, who smacked BNP for $9 billion yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
When the government sold their GM,
That's a great point.
Wow. I didn't know that.
If they were the majority holder,
Yeah.
which they clearly were, then it was their responsibility.
Oh, no.
Above and beyond the people at GM.
Uh-huh.
And yet we're not hearing anything about that.
Well, apparently,
And,
Ken Feinberg is, he's a lawyer. Ken Feinberg is, he's the lawyer behind the 9/11.
yeah, he comes out across very well.
Well,
I
apparently,
listened to him yesterday.
he's really onto this now, and it's like, uh-oh. Well, I never realized that even going back a few years that the government had such huge. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
So, the banks, they keep on using the banks for their own piggy banks,
Yep.
the government. They hurt the shareholders, and yet they had all of this information. Or, they should have known. So were they out of touch, which they blame on everybody under the sun when they, go after them for fines? Or were they just inept? Because they were one or the other.
Wow. This almost sounds like the VH. This almost sounds like the VA, Charles.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but
They had a story on last night about a guy from New Hampshire. Been dead for 22 months. Wife got a letter yesterday. Their treatment. He was dead 2.5 months after they, put him on the waiting list. I mean, unbelievable.
wow. So, yeah, man.
Full empathy for, the wife and the family and everything. But,
Sure.
I mean, so the government runs the VA and the government ran General Motors, and I'm so glad that they're running our health care now too.
Yeah. Well, hey, the hat trick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Mike, you just got back from Asia, and it seems like renewable energies are going bonkers. According to Bloomberg, renewable energy may reap as much as 2/3 of the 7.7 trillion investment forecast building new power plants by 2030. And half of those power plants will be in Asia, which is taking off like crazy. So I think that's kind of interesting.
What it was that those alternative energies were going to be? I mean, are they building nuclear there because they can?
That's very interesting. They are scaling back on fossil fuels.
Understandable.
Yeah. But they're also scaling back on wind and hydropower.
So what's left?
Well, I would say nuclear, I would think.
Nuclear or
Solar?
wind? Yeah, solar.
Well, solar, I guess. Yeah.
And the improvement in electric forms of energy, using various forms.
For generation?
Which come in many different forms, many different
Okay.
ingredients.
And that gas, I'm assuming, is an alternate.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's
Street Journal saying that apparently China, in reports that were out yesterday afternoon, that manufacturing is rebounding big time. Of course, it had been down for a long time, and this according to HSBC, Manufacturing Purchase Managers. So, that it was up considerably.
we should have their problem,
So, that it was up
Yeah,
considerably.
we should have their problem, decline from growing at 8% to
Yeah, I know.
a lowly 5.5 or 6%.
Yeah, really. Yeah, but we got Netflix.
Kind of rejigger itself.
Yeah, well,
as a network.
Well, and that is definitely coming, and it's going to be not just a network, but a cord cutters network as well. Which is where we're going to be taking WPSL TV. You bet. And apparently, according to Market Watch, that Goldman is now saying the stock prices trading at around 458 something or other, and their target now is 590. Yeah. Yikes! Man, what a jump! Yeah, I guess they're really expecting something out of Netflix, and they're not the only one because absolutely bonkers.
Has been up every single day that it's been here.
Yeah. Boy, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Well, tell me, Michael, what What else did you learn when you were?
A Philippine telephone company.
Okay.
I mean, you're talking about a country growing about 8%. I mean, it's just really busy because the Philippines has all the natural resources that a lot of other countries don't have. You know, like no drought. Just think of phenomenal flow of no drought. Just think of phenomenal flow of
Yes.
farm products.
Yeah.
And the other companies I really like are Petron, PCOR, Globe, Telephone, GLO, and Ayala, AYALA, AC, which traded in America. Otherwise, I found a very good brokerage firm called I. Ackerman and Company in the Philippines, where you can open an account and start trading. The Filipinos are not allowed to really invest in other countries right now.
Really?
And yes, and
I didn't
other
know that.
people who invest in the Philippines can only own 40% of a company. These are old rules that they're trying to change, but have been integrated from the past.
Wow. Yeah, that's really intriguing. Now, you mentioned phone companies. Are these going to be...
Yeah, Philippine Telephone, PLDT.
Okay, are they going to be landline or are they going to be cell companies?
Everybody has a cell phone.
Everybody's got a cell phone.
Amazing?
Yeah.
You know, you can find the poorest people in the poorest section of the country, poor kids, and they have a cell phone.
Yeah.
They may not have underwear, but they have a cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah, well...
You know, there was a show on last night that I was just flipping through the channels, and it was on Nat Geo about the 1980s, and they were talking about cell phones and how AT&T kind of poo-pooed talking about cell phones and how AT&T kind of poo-pooed the cell phone initially, because there'd only be a market for about 1 million to 2 million users, and so they gave it away to the ARBOCs, and Ameritech was one of those, and of course, I mean, it was an interesting story to see, just how wrong they could be.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, that family in Seattle just made gazillions of dollars off the initial cell phones. Oh, yeah, you bet.
Who was that? Greg McCaw?
Yeah, McCaw. Yeah, the McCaw brothers.
Yeah.
Now, were either one of you guys for going at the hedge fund guys and talking about the political peril because fat cats are running the Republican Party? I mean, I thought that was obviously a political statement, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there are all kinds of crazy things that are going to be said between now and November. I mean, and of course, consider the source.
Right.
Of course.
Right. Yeah. Well.
But there are some fairly disturbing things going on as it relates to, personal liberties and privacy. I mean, anybody who thinks that they have any degree of privacy obviously is not on Facebook. It's amazing how all of this information that is gathered is turned towards, manipulating us.
Well, it was funny.
And I am far from a, conspiracy theory guy. But, when you sit down and you think about it, just ask anybody who's been detained at the airport.
Yeah, well, my wife is an agronomist. She collects seeds from all over the world. We have about 250 plants growing here in the desert.
Uh-huh.
That's our hobby. And one day, some cars from the Department of Agriculture drove up, and they weren't very nice, knocking on our... And apparently...
You sent the dogs out to meet them, didn't you?
Oh, the dogs were there. Well, apparently, we had imported some seeds from countries that were contraband, like Turkey. You're not allowed to import certain seeds from Turkey, and we didn't know that. And they found out right away through the Internet. So you can see that the government has access to what we're doing.
They have access to
Wow.
everything except, of course, Lois Lerner's email account.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that's that's what happens when you have hard drive crashes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike King's medical marijuana business, and the website is. Oh no, I'm just kidding. But that is wild, Mike.
Well, when you drive cross country, or
Yeah.
if you drive from anywhere into California,
Oh yeah, fruits.
there's an inspection station. They don't
You
want
bet.
They don't want any seeds. They don't want any produce.
Yeah, fruits.
There's an inspection station. They don't
You
want
bet.
any. They don't want any seeds. They don't want any produce. They don't want anything that grows coming
Well,
into the state.
They had so many fruit fly infestations in California. From the time I was a little kid, it was like, oh yeah. I mean, they just freak every time they see fruit coming into the state.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. I mean, look at what percentage of our agricultural product comes from California.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Actually, California and
Is going to be what is going to happen to the salad bowl in Salinas if they can't get water from the Sacramento Delta,
yeah.
and what's going to happen to the farms further south from Salinas. You're talking the Merced,
Oh well, that's
Fresno.
the biggest north-south. That's the biggest north-south argument that there is in California.
Oh yeah.
The Northerners say they're stealing our water.
Yep.
The
Yep.
Southerners say we need the water in order
The argument. I remember
forever.
when I was a Capitol correspondent, which would have been 75 through 70 or 74 through 76, oh yeah, it was almost a war chant going on between the Northern California legislators and the Southern California guys, and our people said, "Fine, we just won't feed you,"
Right.
and it's. But I mean, they've got the drought is
Right.
a real serious issue out there now. I mean, and where Michael is, I mean, likewise, that lovely lake by Las Vegas and the Colorado River have been feeding Los Angeles, San Diego, Phoenix, and Tucson for decades. Issues in the West.
And in the Central Plains. We've had a terrible drought now.
Yes.
There's rain coming to the north, to the Dakotas and Minnesota area. But Kansas still has a terrible drought.
Yeah.
You can forget about Kansas.
And yet the upper end of the Mississippi has been 10 feet over flood stage for a week.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
It's just, it's unbelievable. Execution this morning. No one you know, Greg.
Oh.
No, we had an order.
I was going to say, a
under
friend
the
of mine.
market, actually fairly substantially under the market in the TLT calls. The TLT is the ETF from 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
we
it
were
was.
in the 110s, and we were in them for a day before we lost half the position to the 100% up rule. So now it continued to rally, and now it's come back in. And we bought 113 calls. The index right now is 112.70 and is down a little today, but the bonds were heavily down early. So we had an order in at 78 or better. They had closed around $1.10, ours around $1.10. They opened at 73 cents. We bought ours at 74 cents. Right now, they're 85 cents on the high of the day, still down 24 cents. But this is this is kind of a hedge position, much like when S&P downgraded U.S. credits and they rallied phenomenally. I'm looking for a little bit of a pullback in the interest rate. It was as low, I think we traded it the last time from about 251, the rate on the 10-year, to about 51, the rate on the 10-year, to about we traded it from 54 to 51, so we made some money there. Now we're back in it at the equivalent of about 253 and a half, 254. It's 254.7. But these are actually big moves in interest rates. You're talking about moves that occur on a daily basis now that used to take a month.
Really?
We go up a tenth.
Really?
We go up a tenth, or down a tenth of a percent a day. Now we have these, 5 full basis point swings, on a day by week basis. So, and this is where they tend to go. So it's a hedge. If the market comes down, people generally flock to the safety of these things, so we're in them again.
Interesting stuff.
Well, good luck. You're really hot. Hot.
Yeah, we had the first down quarter, since we've been doing this, and now we're back up on the upside. We're up about 15% in the small account, from at the worst point being down about 29%.
Well, that's great. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Charles.
Well, that's why you pay me the big bucks, Greg.
That's it.
Yeah, you can't keep a good horse down.
Yeah. Greg.
That's it.
Yeah, you can't keep a good horse down.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's not a Clydesdale, right? Oh, yeah.
Right.
But, you look at, Charles, do you think, okay, with the little bit of movement that you see, possible inflation on the horizon, or no?
Yeah, and that would take the rates much higher. And, I've been saying that there's inflation for a year and a half.
Let's welcome Dave Reichman of Treetop Industries.
Hey, Dave.
Thank you, Mike.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Of Treetop Industries.